Chapter 9. A little preparation. On the 8th day since entering the sect, Lin Yuan woke up early. In the dim light of dawn, he walked out of his residence and headed towards the external sect's scripture pavilion. There were several scripture pavilions on the Jade Peak. One was located at the foot of the mountain for the external disciples, another was halfway up for the inner disciples, and there was one at the peak for the core disciples. Although the external sect's scripture pavilion had the lowest level, it was the most lively, with many external disciples. The books inside were of lower grades, leading to frequent exchanges. Hence, Lin Yuan decided to come early. After half an hour, he arrived at the external sect's scripture pavilion. As Lin Yuan stepped into the scripture pavilion, he immediately noticed an old man dozing off behind a counter. After sensing a bit, Lin Yuan didn't detect a profound spiritual power fluctuation from him. Judging by his intuition, the man's cultivation should be around the 7th level of Qi cultivation. Lin Yuan hesitated for a moment and then lowered his head, silent. Invoking in his mind, Lin Yuan hesitated and lowered his head as he mumbled in his mind, Abrasal technique. Name, Nanman Sankhya. Type, human. Realm, 9th level of Golden Core. Position, Leader of the Holy Sect Jade Peak. Steward of the External Sect Scripture Pavilion. Occupation, Spirit Forger. Lower rank of Earth Tier. Artifact Refiner. Upper rank of Profound Tier. Array Master. Middle rank of Profound Tier. Talisman Maker. Lower rank of Profound Tier. The old man continued to doze off. In Lin Yuan's heart, he first breathed a sigh of relief, then took a sharp breath. He used Abrasal technique for 2 reasons. One is to conduct an experiment, trying to see if using the identification technique will be noticed by someone with a higher cultivation level. Now, using the identification technique within the sect, even if discovered by others, there is no life-threatening danger. However, experimenting during a crisis may not be prudent. The system skills are quite powerful, even an elder in the Golden Core stage seems not to have detected any anomalies. The second reason is his curiosity about whether the old man in the scripture pavilion is a master. In TV dramas, those who sweep the floor or read books are usually experts. Unexpectedly, he has encountered one. Should he try to be such a master? After some thought, he feels it's unnecessary to deliberately make friends. He prefers to focus on stable cultivation and endure for 300 years. Elder, sir. Lin Yuan spoke gently.
HMM.
The old man opened his eyes and glanced at him.
Elder, sir. This disciple would like to exchange for a technique.
The old man yawned and said casually,
Well, not bad. Just broke through to the 5th level of Qi refining. Right. You have the opportunity to exchange a free copy of a lower grade yellow rank technique. Give me the token to see.
Disciples of the outer sect of the Sane Sect receive a free opportunity to exchange for a technique each time they break through a realm. Lin Yuan immediately handed over his disciple token and then walked into the scripture pavilion. He passed by several bookshelves and arrived at a relatively secluded area. Picking up a jade slip. Breath concealment technique, lower grade yellow rank technique, can conceal a portion of one's cultivation and life aura. Lin Yuan picked up the jade slip and headed towards the exit.
Elder, sir. I've made my choice.
He handed the jade slip to Nanman Sankhya.
Breath concealment technique.
The old man picked up the jade slip, looking at Lin Yuan with a strange expression.
Yes.
Lin Yuan nodded. Nanman Sankhya didn't say much. He swiped his palm over the jade slip and handed it to Lin Yuan.
Learn it.
Lin Yuan nodded, took the jade slip, pressed it against his forehead, and a large amount of technique information was transmitted into his sea of consciousness. In just a few minutes, he memorized the content of the breath concealment technique. Then, Lin Yuan respectfully handed the jade slip back to Nanman Sankhya.
Thank you, Elder.
Well, you can go now.
Nanman Sankhya casually said.
Goodbye, Elder.
Lin Yuan didn't linger and left decisively. Nanman Sankhya stood up, placed the jade slip back in its original position, and was about to continue dozing off when he suddenly froze. His spiritual sense could already sense Lin Yuan leaving. Observing Lin Yuan several hundred meters away from the scripture pavilion, the fluctuations in his aura appeared chaotic. However, after a while, his aura gradually stabilized at the fourth layer of Qi refinement. His comprehension is not bad, Nanman Sankhya commented casually. Next, he saw Lin Yuan activating the floating cloud steps and quickly moving away from the scripture pavilion. As the floating cloud steps and the breath concealment technique were simultaneously in use, the external spiritual power fluctuations initially fluctuated between the fifth and fourth layers of Qi refinement. Later, they gradually stabilized at the fourth layer. Nanman Sankhya's expression became even more astonished this time. He muttered to himself, just within a quarter of an hour, he's grasped the basics of a technique. And he's on the verge of breaking through to the realm of complete understanding with the floating cloud steps. If one could comprehend mid-grade yellow rank techniques, it would definitely be considered as laying the foundation for foundation building. Muttering a few words, Nanman Sankhya continued to doze off. The prospect of laying the foundation didn't bring him much surprise. It just left a faint impression. Lin Yuan wandered back to the trading area of the outer sect of the Azure Dan Peak. There were quite a few outer disciples in Bidong Peak, so naturally there was a demand for exchanging resources, so there was an outer sect stall area. The sun had already risen, and outer sect disciples had begun setting up stalls. Lin Yuan strolled around. Cultivators were generally reserved, not loudly advertising their wares. Everyone displayed their items openly, quietly waiting for others to inquire about prices. Lin Yuan occasionally used identification technique to discern basic information about various materials, expanding his knowledge. He also threw the identification technique into the crowd, casually collecting information. However, when he used the identification technique on a stall behind a stall owner, he stopped in his tracks. This was a booth selling various cultivation items.
Senior, do you need anything?
A timid voice sounded. The stall owner was a petite female cultivator, appearing shy. Evidently, she wasn't used to setting up stalls regularly. He picked up a talisman and asked,
How much is this fireball talisman?
The delicate female cultivator also entered a businesslike state and said crisply,
1 fireball talisman costs 1 spirit stone, and the other low-grade talismans also cost 1 spirit stone each.
Did you refine these yourself?
Lin Yuan asked casually.
Yes.
The delicate female cultivator nodded.
And all of these items?
Yes.
The delicate female cultivator raised her head slightly. Lin Yuan nodded and examined the information with the identification technique. Name: Nanman Hua. Species: human. Realm: Qi refinement 6th layer. Position: at a disciple of the same sex by Dadan Peak. Occupation: spirit forger, yellow grade middle tier. Talisman maker, yellow grade middle tier. Alchemist, yellow grade middle tier. Artifact refiner, yellow grade lower tier. Array master, yellow grade lower tier. This female cultivator's water-based occupational abilities are quite impressive, and the key point is that her surname is Nanman. At the same time, among her occupational abilities, there's also the occupation of a spirit forger. Honestly, Lin Yuan really didn't know what a spirit forger was, but just from the name, it felt quite impressive. Lin Yuan asked,
Do you have yellow grade middle tier talismans?
Yes. We do. but the quantity is limited. There are 3 types: Fireball Talisman, Earth Shield Talisman, and Gale Talisman.
Nanman Hua replied.
What are the prices?
A yellow grade middle tier Fireball Talisman costs 8 Spirit Stones, Earth Shield Talisman costs 12 Spirit Stones, and Gale Talisman costs 10 Spirit Stones.
Nanman Hua explained. Lin Yuan inquired.
I want 4 each of the yellow grade middle tier Fireball Talisman, Earth Shield Talisman, and Gale Talisman. Do you have them in stock?
Yes.
Nanman Hua confirmed.
Alright, I also want 33 each of the low grade Fireball Talisman, Earth Shield Talisman, and Gale Talisman.
Nanman Hua was delighted and said,
In total, it's 220 Spirit Stones. Since you bought a lot, it'll give you a discount of 20 Spirit Stones.
This was her first big deal, and she was very happy. Lin Yuan took out Spirit Stones, completed the transaction for the talismans, and then asked,
If I want a defensive formation covering an acre of spiritual farmland, how much would it cost?
Nanman Hua was surprised and shook her head, saying,
Oh, this is expensive. The cheapest would be 2,000 Spirit Stones, and it would also consume Spirit Stones regularly to maintain.
Lin Yuan frowned and asked,
Is there a way to create a larger scale projection formation that covers the spiritual farmland?
Nanman Hua, upon hearing this, fell into contemplation, clearly pondering the feasibility of such a creation. Lin Yuan didn't rush and waited patiently.
You're probably worried that someone might steal your spirit herbs, right?
Nanman Hua asked.
Yes.
Well, I can modify a projection formation with an alert mechanism. It will only activate the projection stones within the formation when it senses someone entering the spiritual farmland. This way, it won't waste the projection stones. The cost of making this would be around 100 Spirit Stones. Is this plan acceptable?
Nanman Hua suggested. This kind of triggered projection formation would already meet Lin Yuan's requirements. Indeed, what technology could achieve, cultivation could also accomplish.
Okay. I am very satisfied with this plan.
Lin Yuan nodded in agreement.
I'll go back and study this formation. I'll give you the finished product in 3 days.
Nanman Hua thought and said.
That's fine.
Lin Yuan generously handed over his disciple token.
Contact me directly when it's done. I am called Lin Yuan.
Nanman Hua also took out her disciple token and said in a crisp voice.
I am called Chiu Hua.
The tokens touched each other, leaving behind the traces of each other's spiritual energy, making it convenient for internal communication within the sect. Lin Yuan took out 30 Spirit Stones and slid them across her table, saying,
This is the deposit.
Nanman Hua blinked and waved her hand, saying,
No need for a deposit. I'll take it when it's done.
Lin Yuan laughed and said,
A deposit is necessary. It's a business deal, after all.
Okay, then.
Nanman Hua nodded and accepted the Spirit Stones. Lin Yuan bid farewell to Nanman Hua and continued to wander around. He looked for a while but surprisingly didn't find a stall selling clear spirit tea. So, how did he get the box of clear spirit tea before? He searched his memory. Lin Yuan got the information that the box of clear spirit tea was a sect reward when he, a miscellaneous disciple, advanced to an outer disciple, choosing the Jade Dan Peak. Clear spirit tea was cultivated internally by the sect and not sold to the public. But it could be exchanged using contribution points. Contribution points. Lin Yuan frowned. He had just become an outer disciple, and even after a month, he only earned 30 contribution points. It should not be enough to exchange for clear spirit tea. In fact, there were things that could temporarily increase comprehension, such as pills and spirit UAL fruits. However, these items were not suitable for synthesis. You couldn't buy hundreds of pills at once, and the same applied to spiritual fruits. A box of clear spirit tea contained 200 or 300 pieces, making it the most suitable item for repetitive synthesis. Lin Y. Haran picked up his disciple token and contacted Xie Zhiling. Soon, a virtual image of Xie Zhiling appeared in front of him.
Senior brother Ling Yuan, what's up?
Xie Zhiling's cheerful voice came from the token.
I want to exchange for an item, and need to borrow some contribution points from you.
Lin Yuan straightforwardly asked.
Sure. Where are you? I'll come over right away.
Xie Zhiling replied without hesitation.
Okay, I am heading to the outer contribution hall now. Let's meet there.
No problem.
Xie Zhiling cheerfully agreed. Soon, the two met at the outer contribution hall. Lin Yuan borrowed 100 contribution points from Xie Zhiling and purchased a box of clear spirit tea.